Today we're going to finish up our conversation on the process tools, but just a little reminder of how we got there. First session that we met, I talked about the importance of building out your 4 functions, so creating a list of all of your processes, not necessarily doing all the documentation right away, but starting to make this master list inside of your 4 functions. Then we discussed building of an organization chart or an organization strategy, which gives you this picture for the future. Once your chart's built, then and your 4 functions list is done, been listed out, then that's a good time to build all your job descriptions. So the job descriptions are built by linking processes here from the 4 functions list to positions on the chart using this tool right here. So this allows you to look over at the 4 functions and then choose the processes that each position is accountable for. Once you're at that place, all the processes from the 4 functions list will be linked to one box or another on the org chart. Then that's a good time to start in on your documentation. So you can prioritize and think, what are the most essential positions to get documented, first, second, third. You can begin to delegate to other employees or managers in your company, and by telling them, hey, go to your job description and TouchStone, start documenting the processes one at a time. You can pick and choose even from this, once you get to this result where you can say, you know, I really need to develop a marketing plan, or I really need to work on the sales systems, and go to that position and put that process that you're going to work on, drag it right to the top of the screen, and then start the documentation. So to begin the documentation of a process, you select the process either from the job description or from the process tools page, and that will, or from the 4 functions list, and that will take you to the process tools page, which is where we're at right now. When you haven't started the documentation of a process, all of this is going to be blank. You'll see the headers for the tools, but you won't see anything underneath them like you're seeing here. So generally, you're going to start directly with a work plan. So you click the work plan title, type in the name of your work plan, put in the objective or the purpose of it, and then hit create. And then you've got a work plan. You start to build the tasks one at a time. Think of the first step of the process, save it, go to the next task. This is task 2. Build the next step. So once your work plan is built, or while you're building your work plan, you can start to think if you need these other tools or other templates. If the process needs a checklist, so it needs some quality control in it, it needs a way for you to verify that the steps have been followed of the work plan or of the process itself, then you can build a checklist like this one. Or like I showed you last week, you can take a work plan like this one, and using this tool right here, you can convert it into a checklist. So now this is a checklist in addition to being a work plan. So always start with a work plan, and then consider, do you need some quality control? Do you need a way to verify that steps have been followed? Do you need a management tool to ensure that you know as a manager, if you are, that your employees have been performing the steps necessary for the process? Just quickly, I want to review these icons. Edit process details will always take you back to the details of the process. So here I'm seeing from this trail 4 functions. This process is in the getting the business function, in the advertising sub-function, and this is the title or the detail title of the process. I can always click here, and it will take me to this screen, which is where I can see the details. Or if I'm on another page or another tool in TouchStone, I can click that Edit Process Details, and it will take me back here as well. Here's where you can edit the title of the process itself. So if I click here, it's going to open for me to edit. Also, it gives me access to the objective field. If I click the objective field, I can edit this as well. The objective is usually a sentence or a phrase which describes what's in this process, what's the purpose of it. Here I can also mark this process as complete, which turns it black on the 4 functions list and lets you know it's done. Or I can put it in the public folder. This tool right here, when you're on the details of the process, when you're seeing this box, if I hit link to job description, I'm going to be able to see which job descriptions this process has been linked to. So from this view, this would be your org chart in simple view. And the boxes that are orange are the ones that this process has been linked to. You can link it and unlink it from this screen if you like. So I click this box, and it's taking it off that salesperson's job description. If I select it again, it's going to ask me where I want it on the job description, the strategic section or the tactical, and I hit link, and there it is. So this is kind of a quick help tool that will show you which job descriptions the process has been linked to, and in addition, you can link it and unlink it from this view as well. I'm going back to here for just 1 second. This icon here will allow you to move a process tool from one process to another. So remember, the tools are these items: work plans, checklists, scripts, all of these tools. So you can take a tool out of one process and move it into another using this icon here. Export features: print to Word, print to PDF or email. And then the black X on this screen is delete. You get one chance to change your mind. Are you sure? Whatever's behind you here will be deleted. I hit OK, and then that's gone. There's also a little help menu. This is something new that we've developed. So if you forget, what the title is and how you use that, or you forget what the objective is about, you just keep hitting next, and it'll go through all the items on this screen and let you know what they're there for. Okay, let's talk about scripts. So the scripting tool is the next tool down, and the script tool is used for documenting of a conversation. So anytime in the process there's a task where someone needs to have a conversation of some sort, they need to answer questions, they need to disseminate information in a certain way, then you would need a script. So generally what happens is you're in a work plan and you get to a task where somebody has to have a conversation or say something verbally. Then that's your first sign that you need a script. So you go down and build a script just by clicking the script title. This tool works exactly the same way as the work plans and the checklist. So I hit the script title, then I type in the name of my script. I put in the purpose of it. Why is it here? What is the result of this script? These objective fields can feel a little tedious when you're looking at them, but they're really great for documentation because they give the person learning this or using this some basis for why it exists. Why is it here? So then I hit Create Script, and here my script is created down here at the bottom. So then I would proceed to document the script. Clicking Add Script Item, I've got my first prompt and my first script item. The prompt is the explanation of what's happening, or the question being asked, or the if-thens of the conversation. So the prompt is like the why this is happening, in what situation. And then the script side are actually the words that are spoken. So this is you would put this in terms of how someone would say it, the direct words they would say. Then I would go Add Script Item again, and this is the second why. Save, and then the words that are spoken in that situation. These are all drag and drop like the other tools, so you can reorder your script items just by dragging them up and dragging them down. So generally there are 3 types of scripts that I typically see. One, this is an example of. This is like a stable script or a static script. It just has one prompt and one script item. It's typical for like leaving a voicemail message or how to set up your voicemail, what you say, or leaving a follow-up message. So generally that's one prompt and then one script item that's said the same way every time. There are also workflow scripts. These are slightly more complicated, but they document a whole conversation, and they show the back and forth of the conversation. They generally start with a greeting of some sort. Hello, my name is Shannon. This is why I'm calling. Can I speak to so-and-so? Or, did you get what I sent you? If yes, then you would say this. If no, then you would say this. So it goes through the back and forth of the typical conversation that may happen. So scripting, I think, kind of gets a bad rap sometimes because people view it as not practical, that, well, people don't say the same thing every time. Every situation is different. So they focus on the variables of the conversation and then decide the script's not going to work because it is so variable. Well, what I would encourage you to do is think of what is consistent. So yes, there's always going to be variable things. You know, business is full of variations. But the truth of the matter is a lot of what happens is consistent. And you just have to choose to find what is consistent. Also think about it this way. What is the best way that it could happen? Your salespeople or your customer service people or your service delivery people, they need to direct the conversations. They need to have a purpose in mind, what their end goal is, and they need to be able to direct the customer through a process. And if the customer takes it off onto some tangent, they need to be able to answer that, but then they need to be able to pull it back to the results of the conversation. This is what makes the difference between a sales process that is so random you can't even tell me what your conversion rate is, and a sales process where you have an average conversion rate. The difference is having a documented process with good scripts that salespeople are trained in so that they can learn to draw back the conversation so they can get the needs of the customer met, so they can highlight your product or service in a way that answers the customer's issues. Every product or service is filling a need, and your ideal target market has that need. So the documentation and the scripting should identify those needs and fill them. Now, again, if you're thinking, well, my needs are all over the place, well, they're generally not. There's generally a consistent way. If the needs of your customers are 0 to 20 all over the place, then I would suggest you don't really know your target market. So think about these factors. Think about who the target market is. What is that with the 80-20 rule? What are those high-impact customers that buy what you're selling every time? So think about the scripting in terms of this. What is the ideal conversation that could happen? What are the ways to pull it back on track? What are the ifs-thens of it? It can be also like a decision tree. The prompts can be a decision tree. If this, then that. If that, then this. So try to deal with the variables as best you can throughout the script. Scripting isn't meant to be where somebody, other than a static script like a voicemail message, your people aren't going to just read it the same way every time. They're going to learn it, absorb the information, and then it will come out in their own words. So you're not meant to create a bunch of robots. The scripting is knowledge over here. This is experience. This is knowledge that if you do the scripts well, you're capturing that knowledge. Like you can take an experienced salesperson and capture the way that they would handle an objection or deal with an if-then of the situation, document that, and in a sense what you've done is you've taken their years of experience in some cases or your own experience and you've put that technique into a documented process that you can then train people on. So workflow script goes through the conversations. Think about it like a conversation would go as well. So on this side, if you've got a script item that goes on for paragraphs, that's too much. Like you're not having a conversation if someone's just speaking at you for 15 minutes. You want to put the, does that make sense to you? What do you think of that? Did that answer your questions? Think about how the check-in would be, especially if this is like a service delivery script where you're trying to get across a lot of information to the customer or the client. So break your scripts up like it would be in a real conversation. A third type of script is a frequently asked questions script or a response script. These types of scripts the prompts are a question or a situation that might happen, and then the answer, how someone would deal with that verbally. They're kind of like the if-thens of the workflow script. So let me say that again. If you have a workflow script and this documents the ideal conversation, the only thing that's not captured here are all the variable things, or some of them. So if the customer says, that's too expensive, or they ask a random question, you don't want to bring those types of things up in the main workflow script, but if they're asked, you want to be able to answer them. So every good workflow script generally has a frequently asked questions script that goes along with it. So this would become all the variable, may get asked, may not get asked types of questions. Sometimes you won't have any workflow script, and the process may have just a frequently asked questions script. So again, the prompt's the question, the script is the answer. These don't necessarily go in any order. They're just what may or may not get asked and how to answer it. You may start off with a frequently asked questions script after you've documented a workflow script, and you may only be able to think of 3 or 4 things to put on it. But this is a good type of script that would grow over time. So you can make it a challenge to your people or your department and say, we've got 4 typical questions that may or may not get asked in the answers. I want everyone to think of more. Think of everything this week or over this next month that you've heard in a way, in a clever way you've answered it, or a way that you've answered it that works, and document that for me. And then you can take all that and put it into the script and put it into the script. If you make this kind of effort to innovate and make it up to date all the time and make it get better and better, then before you know it, you're going to have a 20-long prompt script for your frequently asked questions. And it's become this amazing training tool for new people. Okay, let's talk about the next tool down. Oh, one more thing about scripts. If you have a work plan, which you should if you have a script, the place in the work plan where the script is used, you always want to make a hyperlink to it. So you can say something like, use this script. Or you could put the name of the script, and you highlight it, and you go to the hyperlink tool, and then you hit the drop down here, and you're looking for a script. So you're going to search for scripts. And now I see all my scripts in alphabetical order. So I choose the script I'm looking for and hit insert. And now anytime someone is reading the work plan, they're going to see right here, use this script, and boom, there's the script. We isolate the script template from the work plan template because work plans generally, you're going to train someone in how to use them. They may study them, learn them, refer to them for 4, 5, 6 months if necessary. But eventually they're not going to be looking at the work plan every time that they do it. But they may have the script in front of them every time. The script can be more of an active piece of the work plan. This is true for this hyperlinking is true for checklists as well. If a checklist is filled out in one task of a work plan, then make a link to it. If a file or a form is used, then make a link to it. Next tool down here is called Uploaded Files. And this tool gives you the ability to take documents, anything that's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or a PDF, and upload it to the process. So to upload a document, you give it a name. You put the purpose of it. What's this document used for? You hit Choose File. You find that document, hit Open, and then Create. Now TouchStone's taking a copy of that Word document and uploading it to TouchStone inside of the process. So you see it right down here, this document that I just uploaded. If you're uploading the wrong file type, you're going to get a file type error. And so then you just need to make sure it's either a Word document, Excel, PowerPoint, or a PDF. Any kind of other documents that you have, you can always save them as a PDF and then use, and then it will upload. Generally, the uploaded files tool is used for, number one, spreadsheets that are a part of the process. So if you've got some kind of a spreadsheet that's filled out in the process, then you would want to upload that file as an example or as the actual file that's filled out every time. Because if you remember here on the home screen, there's that control panel functionality, which we're going to be talking about, I think, in the next 2 sessions, where a user can call up a spreadsheet, a blank one that you would upload right here, and they could access it, fill it out, and then save it back to TouchStone. So the uploaded file can be placeholders for your master documents, but then also remember it can be used there as well. PowerPoint presentations. So if you, I don't think people do many PowerPoints anymore, but sometimes you would have a file share or of a PowerPoint where someone would do that for a sales presentation, or maybe it's some documentation of some sort, some kind of training that you have in a PowerPoint. So you can upload that PowerPoint. Make sure that you reference it in the work plan. So a process is not documented if you just upload a file to it. So it's a placeholder for that file, but you really need a work plan which describes how to use it. What's it there for? How do you give the PowerPoint presentation? How do you fill out that Excel spreadsheet? And the step-by-steps of the work plan should explain that. If you have some kind of a PDF manual, like maybe this is a servicing equipment process, and you've got these PDF manuals of how your equipment's put together that come from the manufacturer, then upload that content here as an uploaded file. Anytime any piece of equipment or technology you use, if the manufacturer has a step-by-step in a PDF, then you don't need to recreate that in TouchStone unless you customize it in some way where the PDF operating instructions or manual doesn't make sense because you've customized it. Well, then you need to recreate it. But if that does exist, then always upload that file and say, reference how the machine is put together here, and then you would link to that file. You can also do that, this is kind of off track, but you can also do that if you've got operating procedures for equipment or software or whatever it is on the manufacturer's website. So they have on their website instructions on how to do things, and those instructions are exactly how you do it. Then you can create hyperlinks to that. And you do that up here in the work plan, but you create an external hyperlink to that, right to that page where someone could view the instructions. You can also upload Word documents. If it's a form that you have in Word and it doesn't do any fancy calculations and have links to other things, then I would always put it in the form tool instead of having it be an uploaded file. Because if something's an uploaded file, I've got to select it, and then I hit View File, and now this is launching whatever program it was created in. I don't know what this is. Oh, it's an employment agreement. So this is launching in Word. Now if I make changes to this, I'm typing it in, I'm using this file, then I go File, Save As. I've got to save it because these changes I'm making or I'm filling this out, this is not happening in TouchStone. This is in Word right now. So I'd save it, and then I go back to TouchStone, and using this icon here, I would find the saved file, and then I would save it back to TouchStone. So you have to replace the old file with the new file if you make changes. Because when I view something, remember, it's open in Word down here. It's not open inside of TouchStone somehow. Word's not embedded in TouchStone. The file's opening in whatever software it was created in. And if I'm making changes to that, you have to remember to save it and then re-upload the changed document. If something's a form, well, then it's just a form. It's right here. And if I want to edit it, I just select it, and it opens to edit. So because of this reason, you have to deal with a few extra things if you're having an uploaded file. You have to deal with the view file, make the changes, and re-upload the new one. If it's just a form in the form tool, then you don't, there's a few extra, or there's not those steps that you need to go through. Someone's asking, can we save the same file? Don't ask if we want to replace it. Yes, I think I got what you're saying. So if I go here to this file, and I hit View File, this is opening. This file's open down here. It's a PDF, so it's opened here. But it's still in TouchStone. So I can do whatever I want to this file in PDF or Word, in Adobe or Word. And it's not changing this original file. This file's still here. So the only way to get rid of this file is to delete it right here. Just the mere fact of opening it isn't going to alter what's inside of the process, inside of the uploaded file tool. The only way to alter it or replace it with the new one is to go here and re-upload the new one. So I can go to this document and I can close it, and I can open the other one and close it. Nothing's happening in TouchStone. I'm just closing those documents that were open in a PDF or in Word. So use the Uploaded Files tool if you've got a spreadsheet, a PowerPoint, a PDF document, a Word document that is used in the process. Use the Uploaded Files tool if you've got any of these file types that you want to keep the master copy. The idea of TouchStone is everything inside of it is the most current version of everything that you have. So that's a good kind of way to think about your content in TouchStone. When people access files, employees, they're going to go File, Save As, and now there's another version of that file the minute they save it back to your network. And then if they do it again, now there's another version of that file. And then often what happens is, first of all, no one knows where they are, and then they don't know what the most current version is because there's 5 versions. So unless you've got really sophisticated ways that you require your employees to save things, networks tend to get messed up a lot. And then employees kind of like go around it by saving things to their desktop. And suddenly their desktop is full of all of these documents. And then before you know it, they're using the wrong contract because they don't know what the most current version is. So inside of TouchStone, always keep the most current version of everything. When you go to update anything, update it in TouchStone first. Next tool down is called the Form tool. So to build a form, you just click the form header here. You type in, the name of your form, why it's used, what's it here for, hit Create. And now I've got a new form down here. And if I want to build the form, I just click right here in the blue field, and it will open up the form. The Form tool is kind of like a blank Word document. It's got this table building row here where I can insert columns and rows and build a table and actually build a form. Or if I don't want a form here and I want to use this to write a letter or put in sample emails I might send, any text that doesn't fit into any of these other tools for whatever reason, you can always use the Form tool for that. So this is just a free-flowing text field right now. It's like a blank Word document. So if you have any content that is in Word, including a form, you can always cut and paste it here into the Form tool. Or if you're building a brand new process and you know it needs a form, then you can use the table building row to actually build the form. When you're in the middle of developing your processes, and say you have an employee working on a specific process and you've reviewed it and you have feedback for that employee, you can make a form and call it, notes for you, and then put in your notes right here in the Form tool. And then it will be right down here for them to look at and review. They can always, then when you're finished with the documentation, you just delete the form. So the Form tool is like the most customizable of all the tools. It can be used for a lot of different purposes. Not only having forms built inside of TouchStone, but also anything that, any text or a story, a letter, anything that needs to be written out verbally. And again, it doesn't fit into a work plan for whatever reason. I also like to use the Form tool when I have images that I want to appear really big. So you can always insert an image into the task of a work plan, and I showed you how to do that. Same idea, you just hit this tree icon. It will open up that and you can upload a JPEG or a GIF, any kind of image. But then it squeezes it into the task, which in a lot of cases makes sense. But if you have some image that you want it to be 8.5 by 11, it's a picture of something else, you can always put it into the form tool and it will appear large on the screen. And then you could hyperlink it back to the task where it's used. Some people just can't get away from flowcharts. Like, they love flowcharts, and I can talk till I'm blue in the face about how unmanageable flowcharts are. But if you just love Visio and you got to have flowcharts, you can take a screen capture of your flowchart, and then you can insert it right here using the image uploader and put it right into the form tool. And then anybody can look at that flowchart and see it. It'll be right inside of TouchStone, inside the process. Okay. Policy notes is the next tool down. So the policy tool is used to document really important, essential policies regarding the process. So that's something to remember. The policy should be about the referral process in this example. So we're in the referral process here. And if there are any legal or compliance or safety, company culture type things that are just essential about that process, then you can document a policy for it right inside the process. So building a policy is super easy, same as the other tools work. You just click the title, you're going to put in the policy name, put in the objective. Be careful with these objectives and policies. Make them really short, because if you start getting too descriptive, then you're documenting the policy itself right into the objective. So keep this kind of simple. Hit Create Policy Note. Now the policy's been created. You can see it down here. If I want to put the 2, I just hit this Edit. This should be always a position name, like management, from management to staff, or a specific employee position. You would never want to put a person's name in the to or the from. Always use the position title. Put the date it was created, and then the effective date. Sometimes these can be the same if it's a simple policy. Other times, if it's something where you want the employees to go and check off that they agree to it, and they can do that in the control panel, which I'll show you. You might give them 5 days to agree to it, so the effective date would be 5 days from the date it was created. It can be a new or revised, and then click the Edit here, and this is where you actually put the text of the policy, what it is. When you're writing out policies, be clear and specific about what you mean. Use forceful language. So that's what a policy is about. It's not subjective. It's not making people feel good. It's a clear, specific, objective purpose, something they have to do, something that is important and needs to be followed. And you want to use that kind of tone and language with it. It's not being mean to people. It's just being clear. And policies need to be clear. Policies are great when you want to make a change. There's this weird cycle of change that happens in businesses, and I think it happens in personal relationships as well, but in businesses it's this elusive kind of, how do I make changes? Changes happen to you over time by people who come into your organization, by fluxes in the market, by unintentionally becoming something different. So policies help you intentionally become something different. It's like putting your foot down in some cases. So if you have certain behaviors, certain things that have occurred, clear things you want to be different, think about what kind of policies you can put in place. And then remember to enforce them. So that's key as well. All processes need to be managed. So that's what I mean by enforcement. It's like manage the process. It doesn't, again, it doesn't need to be mean, but if the process exists, if the policy is there, somebody reads it, understands it, marks off that they agree to it, and then they turn around and violate it, then it needs to be a clear one-on-one conversation that starts with, here's the policy, here's the process, what doesn't work for you? What's wrong with the process? What about this policy doesn't work? And if you start management from that tone, then you're giving the employee a chance to say to you, oh, I just messed up, or, this doesn't work for me because of these reasons. And maybe out of that conversation, you change the policy or you change the process. There's always room for that. But you go in first by blaming the process. Here it is. What's not working about it for you? What's difficult? What's not clear? Let's talk about that. Rather than, what's wrong with you? Here it is. You said, you agreed. You're wrong. So it might ultimately end up that the employee is just being insubordinate, but don't assume that first. Assume, here's the documentation and what needs to be better about it. This is the power that documentation gives to managers, because it's not some fake kind of time-wasting, elusive thing where I'm saying, well, didn't you read it? Well, I didn't get it. Well, that wasn't clear. Well, it was never in writing. And then you spend so much time spinning your wheels around that. So think about using policies as like rules management in a way to kind of affect change and make positive changes in the company and with the use of the process. Next tool down is a video uploader. So what happens in the video uploader is you can shoot training videos of the process and then upload them to TouchStone. Simple as that. So if the process lends itself to a video, so it's something that you can capture visually, then consider shooting a quick training video. It just enhances the training. It makes it that much better. It doesn't replace the work plans, though. It doesn't replace the documentation. So some people go video crazy, and they've got like, 20,000 videos, not that many, but they have a lot of videos in their TouchStone account, which I think is great, but they don't have any documentation. They don't have any work plans. The problem with that is people can visually see something, watch it, and it helps them understand, but they don't remember every single thing that was said. They don't see the steps of the process. Even if it's a screen capture video where you're saying, open this spreadsheet, click here, go here, I can see it, and in a way you're showing the steps, but if I forget how to do step 4 of the 10 steps, then I've got to scroll back through the video and try to find where you said that. So they're not good for reference, and they don't give a thorough understanding. It's kind of like when you go to school, you've got a textbook that you study and read, and then you may see a video or you may get a lecture from the professor that enhances or supplements what you've studied in the textbook. But when I'm studying for the test, I'm going to go back to the textbook and read over that information. So without the textbook, the videos and even the lecture to a certain degree don't stick as well. So there's generally 2 types of videos. One would be like an actual video that you might shoot with your camera of people doing things, like a movie. And clearly there are processes that lend themselves to that. And then there are also screen capture videos. So this is where you open up a piece of software, or you open up a form and you say, click here. Or you open your accounting system and you say, to create an invoice, you click here, you do this, you do that. And you're recording the motions on your computer screen, and then through voice over internet, you're speaking into the computer and you're recording, how to run that process. This tool that I showed you in the beginning called Jing, it's right up here, it does, in the free version, it does 5-minute video captures. So you light it up, you choose your screen view, and then you hit capture video, and it gives you a countdown. And then you talk into the video, and you're clicking here, and you're pointing here, and you're clicking around and showing what to do. And then when you're done, you hit finish, and you've got a little video. So this only does 5 minutes, but sometimes 5 minutes is enough for a video. And then you can upload that. You want to convert it to the right file type. So there's all these file types. Basically, this is MP4. These are just different versions of that, or FLV file works as well. And then give the video a name, then hit Choose File. You find your video. I don't have a video to show you, but you find it on your network. You hit Create. Then you're going to get a black screen, and there'll be and the video will upload. The upload speed depends on the size of the video. So if it's a half an hour video, it may take 10, 15 minutes to upload. If it's a short 5-minute video, it's probably going to take 2 or 3 minutes. If you're uploading a video and it's a longer video, you can always open TouchStone in another browser. So I'm in Chrome now. I could go here to Firefox and open up TouchStone and log back in and do my work. As long as it's in a different browser, I could log in with the same username and password and do other work while my video is uploading. So shoot training videos whenever you can, whenever it makes sense. Somebody can study and learn the process, and then they can watch the video. Do videos of yourself and of your employees talking about your vision. So get creative with the videos. They're just fun, and they're fun for employees. You want to try to keep your videos, and this is just a training know-how, you want to try to keep your videos to, I would say, 15 minutes to a half an hour at the most. Don't make a video longer than a half an hour. Break it into multiple videos if you've got one longer than a half an hour, especially how-to videos. Keep them really short. Do them in segments. Do like 10-minute segments of the whole process if you need to with 10 different videos. You can't hold someone's attention that long. They start to lose their attention. They can't remember what you said in the first 5 minutes if it's an hour long, or the first half an hour in some cases if it's an hour long. Audio tool is the same idea, except for it's a flat audio file, an MP3. So you can use the audio to record conversations. If a process has a script in it, it's always great to record an actual conversation of someone saying that script or a role play of the script. So think about using the audio tool for any type of recording of the process that you think would be useful. Again, this is for training purposes. So you want to be able to have them hear how it's supposed to sound. I had an account I was looking at a while ago, it was a few months ago, and they had it was this customer service process for I don't know, I think it was like a chimney company or something. They did working on, it was either like a construction company or something like that, where the service technicians would go out to the customer's location. Well, anyway, they had a customer service process, and inside of it there were audio recordings of how it sounds when you're doing it well, and then how it sounds when you're not doing it well. I thought that was clever. So they had recorded actual conversations of these technicians kind of fumbling through how to answer a customer service problem or how to deal with a difficult customer, and then they had uploaded those as audio files. Any questions before I move on? Nope. Okay. So with the process tools, you want to start in always with a work plan. Consider if you need a checklist, a script, or any of these other tools. As you build the work plan, you're going to kind of see where the other tools might fit in. Think of, in the end, if there's any important policies about the process. Consider if you can shoot a training video of any kind or an audio. Quickly here, before we get to the process of the week, I'm just going to show you how the process tools are used in the control panel. So this is something I've been referring to, and there's going to be a full training on this in another few weeks. But this is the control panel, and every user would be assigned a control panel according to the position that they fill on the org chart. So here, this is the manager of marketing and sales, and we're assuming in this example that I'm the manager of marketing and sales, and I have a control panel for that position. When I select the control panel, I see all the processes that I'm accountable for. These lists here, what you're seeing here, is derived from the job description. So all these processes here have been put on that manager of marketing and sales job description. That's why I'm seeing them here. They look a little different because I'm able to create work groups like this. So rather than just strategic and tactical, I can create these nice little work groups and then put my processes into those work groups. So this is where someone would go if they're using the process, employees. This is where they would go if they are have to complete it, if they need to follow the steps of it and then verify that they've done that. So here's that, I think I have it on here. Here's that referral process that we were in. It's going to look a little bit messy because I added all these things like this extra checklist and this work plan. So any changes that are made to this happen over on the process tools page where we were before. Here I'm just seeing copies of it. So I would go here to complete a checklist, say. So here's a checklist. And if I wanted to complete this, like I'm actually doing this work, maybe I save this as the referral's name. I can put in notes. Once I save it, it date and time stamps it. So that's a checklist. And it stores it here in this completed folder. So there's my checklist. I could go back to it. Or if I was doing this the next day, I'd call up this checklist again, and I could fill it out one more time and save it back to TouchStone. With scripts, so here's that script we were looking at, frequently asked questions. So employees can call up the scripts and have them right in front of them as they're using them. They can put in notes like, look at this, or a new idea they have for a script, and put this right into the process in the control panel and save it. Then a manager typically should be making sure that the work is being done, and they could go here and run a report and say, give me everything so-and-so did today, and then they would see this note. Oh, they have a new idea. There should be a new script item. They look at it. They think it's a good idea, and then they go and add it to the process. The uploaded files here. I can take this file, view it, so now it's launching the file. If this was a spreadsheet, I could fill this spreadsheet out. So I've got the master file here. I fill it out. I save it. I hit Choose File. I find it. I hit Open, and then I save it back to TouchStone. So now I've taken that file. I filled out that form. I filled out that spreadsheet. I had the client sign the contract. I scanned it back in, and now I uploaded it back to TouchStone. You could save these as clients' names if you want, so then it becomes file storage for important documents regarding that client. Once I save it, it's saving that altered file back to TouchStone. So that changed file is here in the completed folder. If I want to see this file again, I'm stuck, and fill it out again, in another situation, I just hit this file again. It's giving me a blank copy, and I fill it out again. If it's a rolling file, I can go back to the completed folder, and I can call up that file again and hit go. And now I go to that file that I added information to. I hit View File. I add more information to it, and then I save it back. The Form tool here just opens live. So here's that form tool. So this is all live fields now where I can fill this form out and then again save it back to TouchStone. So this is, again, is one of the reasons why if it's just a flat form like this one, it's better to have it in the form tool because you don't have to do that loading and reloading. You just click it, it's live, you fill it out and save it. If you have a policy note, you can make employees go agreed and read, or read and agreed. This isn't like, it's probably not legal. There's no signature, but it's the simple act that they're saying, yes, I read and agreed. It's good enough for management purposes. So then they save it back to TouchStone. So now I've got a date and timestamp instance that the employee has agreed to this. So I could send a message out and say, all sales staff, there's a new policy inside the referral process. I want you to agree to it and read it. They do that. I run a report the next week and make sure they all did it. For training purposes, you can have them marked videos as watched. I watched this. Save it. It date and time stamps it. So now you have an indication that the employees watched the training video. So this is just a glimpse into the workings of the control panel, but I think sometimes it's helpful to see the connection when you're talking about documenting a process and then how potentially you might use it and the tools that are available inside of the control panel for employees to use. Right now, we are going to talk about the system of the week. So we've been working on these top 10 mistakes business owners make, and this is going to be a blog post soon. It's also going to be inside of our resource center. But I thought it was interesting because as we were going through these top 10 mistakes business owners make, I noticed having no clear vision. Well, this is the first system of the week we talked about, developing a strategic target. Not providing outstanding customer service. Well, this is what we talked about the second session on having an effective, good customer service process. And these are library processes, the solutions to these problems. Don't know how to hire and keep good employees. Well, last week we talked about onboarding, new employee onboarding. And there's also a hiring process inside the library. And then this one came across, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about marketing strategy. So not having a clear marketing strategy is a big mistake that business owners make because if you don't know who your customers are or how to go after them, then your marketing dollars aren't effective. So there's this simple process that's in the library now called creating a marketing strategy. So a marketing strategy is a way for you to grow your business, and it's a way for you to identify the right ways to grow your business. Who are your customers? How do you reach them? How do you retain them so that they buy from you? A lot of small businesses just jump into doing the work, and rarely do you sit and build a clear plan for it. This is strategy. It's not technical work, and it's not easy by any means. That's why a lot of business owners don't do it. Even if you're a manager in the sales department or a manager anywhere in the company or even an employee, if the business doesn't have a marketing strategy, you see it because you're affected by what comes or all you have is what comes to you. You're not actively going after who the best market is for you. This is just like a simple stat report that I threw in here just to show the impact of having a good marketing strategy. So company A gets 10,000 leads. They convert maybe 10% of those. Average transactions $100. Frequency is 4. Revenue is $400,000. Cost per lead $20. Marketing costs for the year. This is what they should be spending on marketing. Net profit $200,000. If you improve that just by 20%, look what happens to the net profit. So these are all systems. You know, you need lead generation processes. You need sales processes for conversion. But it starts before that. What comes before an advertising plan and lead generation processes and a sales process is who are we going after and how and why. So there's a simple step-by-step here on creating a marketing strategy. There's a lot of stuff on marketing strategy on the internet as well. This isn't by means the only method, but all of them kind of look the same. These are the highlights of it. Some type of executive summary saying what the plan of the marketing strategy is, what the purpose of it is. Who is your target market? This should be specific and clear. Who is your prime target market? Who are you going after? What are the demographics of that market? If it's business-to-business marketing, what type of industries? What are the size of those businesses? Who are the decision makers? Come up with a unique selling proposition. This could be a catchphrase. What distinguishes you from your competition? How are you different? How are you unique? What's special about you? Pricing and promotion. What does your pricing, how should it be customized and positioned so that it fits into the marketplace? How do you defend it? What is it? Distribution plan, the details on how you're going to distribute to your customers who buy from you. What's the easiest way? How to make transactions. What are your offers, your specials? Having like good offers is really an excellent selling technique. And if you know your customers well, then you can see what they want. What's going to eliminate fear with them? What's going to be attractive? What is going to have them take that leap? Marketing materials, what kind of things do you need to promote? And again, who's your target market and what do they want from you? Well, What kind of promotion strategy will you have? What kind of online marketing strategy do you need? Do you have a website? What's that website supposed to do? If that's a prime way to get the attention of your customer, how are you going to get their attention? Conversion strategy. What's the easiest way to convert? And you're not getting into a big sales process here. That will come next. But what are the key selling points? And how can you convince or boost with better strategies? Joint ventures or partnerships. What kind of joint ventures and partnerships do you need to develop to get more leads, to extend your reach into the marketplace? Referral strategy. So businesses grow through word of mouth and referral quite often, but what you want to do with that is turn it around and make it proactive. How can you incentivize, or how can you get these referrals from your customers in a way that works? Not just by asking for them, but incentivizing it, making it worth their while to give it to you, making it easy. Transaction pricing, retention strategy. We talked a bit about this, and if you missed any of the other webinars, all of the system of the week, just the section of the training, it's usually like 10 minutes, are on our website under resources, so you can go and just like watch that system of the week pretty quickly. But here in retention, we talked about this in the customer service process and how unfortunate it is, or how, well, let me put it a different way, how profitable it can be for you by selling to your existing customers, selling more to them, retaining them, as opposed to going out and trying to find new. And then financial projections. What are you going to need to spend in order to grow your business? This is a useful question to ask yourself. Word of mouth and referral, it appears as if it's costing you nothing. But that's only going to get you so far. It's only going to get your business halfway up the mountain. To get it the rest of the way, to get it to the next level, you're going to need to proactively create new business. And so think about what kind of money are you going to spend, what are you going to need to spend in order to grow the business. So there's just like a simple form down here with just, you can do this right in TouchStone if you like and just write it out. You can Google any of these terms and find more definitions for them. This kind of marketing strategy, I think, is done well. You do some research. It probably, I'm going to say, maybe a week worth of time. If you break it up over, a month, then you can have it done in a month. But it's so worth it to sit and really creatively, intentively, strategically look at who are your customers and what do you need to do to attract them. All of these items here then become processes that you want to document in TouchStone. So if you decide, on a new pricing and promotion strategy and it works for your target market, then you can develop a process for it. If you decide on new distribution plans, develop a process for it. New promotions, develop a process for that. Where we get to the heart and soul of this is really your advertising or your lead generation processes and then your sales processes. And clearly there should be numerous of those types of processes. So the strategy is setting the stage for all of that, and then you delve down into the technical aspects of it and document the process. Next week we are going to be talking about account administration right here. So we're going to discuss what it means to set up users, how you do that, how in TouchStone you restrict access and give your users different types of access and what all that means, how to set control panels and set up your home screen so that the management review is accurate. We're also going to talk about the message center here and what its purpose is, and then a little more public process, how that works. Well, that will all be next week. Any questions? No? Okay. Thanks for coming, everybody. I'll talk to you next week.